afraid to use his bumper is Teddy Christopher. He's a two-time Modified Tour winner this year, and he is mean and ornery inside a race car. This is a brand new race car for TC and a brand new power plant, a Ford. He's never used that before. We're going to have to watch out for that number 13 car today. A couple other things we're going to have to watch out for. It's been a lot of rain here at New Hampshire today, and that's going to make for a slippery racetrack. They've also repaved this place in the corners, and these guys have a lot of question marks going into this race here today. It's going to be crazy for the first 20 laps, guys.
And Bob, over $148,000 the posted awards today, the largest ever, Phil, for these guys to race.
That's true. This is one of the best racetracks for the modified series. It's really their Daytona.
Let's get out trackside and get this race underway.
Drivers, start your engine.
And they fire to life here, Phil. Normally 575 horsepower for these race cars, but not today.
No, they've got a 1 1/8 inch restrictor plate, which reduces them about 75 to 90 horsepower. So basically right around 500 horsepower for these cars on this racetrack.
Good looking field of cars rolling off right now, and as they go to the racetrack, let's take a look at their starting lineup. Tony Hirschman, a three-time champion, on the pole for the second time this season, and Teddy Christopher in number 13 will be a factor today.
There's Todd Zegedy, two-time winner this year. On the outside, there's Chuck Hosfeld, winner earlier this year at Thompson.
Polar Beverages, a brand new sponsor on board for Rick Fuller. He'll line up right beside Tommy Baldwin, and defending race winner Jan Lady.
L.W. Miller won last year at Martinsville. He's on the outside. And then Mike Stefanik, 6-time Tour champion on the inside of row 8.
Starting 18th today will be Chris Kopech. 0 top 5 so far this year, a bit of a surprise. And Old Blue for Jerry Marquis, our 2000 champion.
There's Eric Beers. He was 3rd at Lake Erie earlier this year. Richard Houlihan and Doug Kobe make up row 12.
Jamie Tomeno in the number 99 car, just 1 top 5 so far this year, and Donnie Lee, our leading Rookie of the Year contender.
There's Kenny Bouchard, former Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, and then Kevin Konopka and Howie Brody make up row 16.
All the way back in 36, we see Joey McCarthy, a regular on the Busch North Series, and making his first start of 2003.
Jim Long Jr. and Wade Cole, and Jeff Foltz, his first start ever in a modified.
What in the world's he doing in the modified car?
He's a former Kodak, or defending Kodak Southeast champion.
Absolutely. Getting ready to go green here at the Magic Mile as the guys are lined up. What a beautiful sight. A nice day here finally. The sun has come out and we're ready to go. Green flag is out.
Got a good jump on the outside there. John Blewett, the 3rd. Wide racetrack right now. Brand new pavement in the corners. These guys can race 2, if not 3 wide through the corners.
And Phil, they've been racing 2 and 3 wide here before this pavement. I'm not so sure we won't see 4 and 5 wide at this racetrack.
These modifieds have always put on such a terrific show here. The draft is so critical here. The guys tell me these cars draft like the trucks do at Daytona. We've seen how much drafting affects the trucks at Daytona. That's how these guys are on this racetrack.
And right across the start-finish line, a change for the lead as Teddy Christopher will go to the front on lap number 2.
Teddy Christopher, brand new piece right there, brand new engine, a Ford in this thing. First time he's ever run a Ford in his modified car.
We've got one car off the track. Mike Malura has made a little loop-de-loop as he came off number 2, but no yellow flag. So that's good news. The 35 will get back on track, and we continue racing.
That motor, that power plant in that 13 car is a Larry Wallace engine, so you know that's a top-notch engine in that 13 car, Teddy Christopher.
I'm going to get a little notepad here, Phil, and I'm going to try to make marks every time I see one of these cars bump draft and go up and slam. There's about the 3rd one, and we're only 4 laps into the race.
You know, as Bob told us earlier, that's what these guys do. And actually, they figured this out back in 1990. Mike McLaughlin and Mike Stefanik figured out how that bump drafting works. They get right up against another car. They use that front bumper to push them, and it makes both cars go faster.
Now, Zegedy just made a move past the 48 there, and he made that thing look pretty easy.
Todd Zegedy's had a great year so far. He really, very few starts prior to last year. Came into his own, won a race, and has already won twice this year.
Now, Hirschman will lose a position right there, but I got to believe that's not a big problem for him.
Look at that draft right there. We were talking about the bump draft. Write it down, Ray.
Okay, there's number 4. I don't know if I'll ever be able to keep track of all these, that's for sure. But, you know, when I look back at Hirschman, he has been so impressive here at this racetrack. He leads all active drivers, actually all drivers, with 7 wins on this track. Just unbelievable.
Side-by-side battle for the lead. Johnny Blewett got on the inside there. Teddy Christopher not quite able to make it work that time.
TC kind of came a little wide as he came off turn 2 there too, and I think that's keeping Blewett up. And no, absolutely not. Blewett says, forget that.
Whoa,
big smoke on the left front brake.
Teddy locked the front brakes up, getting down at turn number 3. Now he's going to cross over to the inside, try to get back, but John Blewett's going to be able to lead this lap. Look at Ziggity on the inside, taking advantage of Christopher being seized up a little bit.
It really looks to me like as they come down the front straightaway, you want to stay tucked right in behind that car in front of you and then make the move.
That's right. Well, you want to get a pull. You really don't want to get right in this bumper and then pull out. You want to have a little momentum going. So you want to get back as let the other car draw you to them, and when you get there, then pull out and pass.
So Blewett now goes to the lead. Christopher is second. Zegedy is third. These guys have changed positions here in just a handful of laps. Great crowd on hand today here at New Hampshire. Looks like a battle for 5th back here. That's Pasteryak and Nevin George in the 0. Nevin trying to run the high line on this racetrack early on.
They used to run right on the bottom of the racetrack here, but after the Bears repaved this thing, you see the guys, really the bottom groove is almost the middle groove, and then you run up above that.
I just marked 2 more down, and that was for 1st and 2nd. Here comes Zegedy putting some pressure on TC. Now, do these guys look in the mirror to worry about whether they're back there?
Absolutely, absolutely. You see the very defensive line right now that John Blewett's running, but Teddy Christopher's able to pull on the outside, but John Blewett's still on the inside, got a little bit of an advantage, but he's going to try to move to the inside and block it.
Little contact on as we get... Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. Today is the 50th Super Speedway race in the history of the Featherlite NASCAR Modifieds. And we got some great action as we've already seen 3 lead changes in the first 7 laps. And look at this, here they go again, Phil.
Side by side for the lead. John Blewett on the inside, the 77 car. Teddy Christopher, the 13 car on the outside.
I would say these cars are pretty evenly matched from what we've seen so far. And look out, there goes TC. Lead change number 5.
But the draft is a great equalizer, too. So even if these cars aren't exactly right, the draft brings them closer together, much like they do Winston Cup cars at Daytona.
Here we go again. Blewett says, I'm going to try for it as he goes to turn number 1. Makes the move on Christopher, but TC holds him off that time.
Teddy's got a good line getting down to the corner. He kind of arcs it in there, so he's really good through the center of the corner by his entrance.
Let's see, there's 2 more bumps. I'm up to 36 already. You know, we're almost ready to see lap traffic here, Phil, and that's a bit of a surprise to me as we're just coming up on lap number 10. But these guys are going to have to start looking out for some slower cars. And yep, there it is. We're in lap traffic right in the center of the corner, and they got to go way high that time.
Yeah, they would much rather catch these guys on the straightaway, but you just got to pass them when you get to them. That's what these guys have to do right now.
They got around Wade Cole there as they head back down the back straightaway. Ted Christopher currently the leader. Now Zegedy's just kind of hanging back there watching what these guys are up to. Is he trying to cool the tires?
I think he'd love to go to the front, but he's not going to take any chances. He knows this is a long race, 100 laps on this racetrack, so he's got a great view for this battle, though, as John Blewett gets back out in front.
Zegedy making his 34th start here in the Featherlite Modified Series, comes into this race as the second place points man. 3 wide.
For just a second there when John Blewett moved to the inside to try to block these guys.
Now, is it okay for Zegedy to go up top like this?
Absolutely. It didn't work for him, but it's certainly okay because the racetrack has a great surface from bottom to top.
TC will go to the outside as Blewett back to the lead. He goes down to turn number 1. That yellow number 77. Blewett, our point leader, coming into this race today.
There's Tony Hirschman back in this battle. They had actually driven away from him a little bit, our pole sitter, but he's right now on Zegedy's rear bumper.
Now, Phil, one thing that's a little bit different about this division than, say, Winston Cup, Busch, or Trucks is they don't pay points for leading laps, but yet I guess you want to be up front.
Absolutely, because that's what these guys are all about, running up front, winning races, and they know this race is going to be on TV, so they want to get up there so they can show their sponsors and show the people out in America what they can do.
Is there any kind of an advantage when you're drafting here to be on the back of this guy? Now, these two are running side by side. Does it slow them down like it does at, say, Daytona?
It sure does. And Zegedy would have a little bit of an advantage, but these straightaways are not, not quite as long, obviously, as they are at Daytona. But one thing we also have to remember, now, this is a 100-mile race. A lot of these guys plan on running this race without pitting. So, a little fuel conservation probably isn't a bad idea right now.
Szegedy got up there and gave the bumper to TC. I'm running out of ink. I don't have room to mark this down. Here comes another one. One more time. He pushes him down the straightaway, and that'll push both of these cars right by John Blewett. And we've got another change there as Szegedy goes to second.
Two cars will act hooked up, will run faster than one car. That's why they were able to drive by Blewett on the outside.
You know, these guys run right here in New Hampshire an awful lot, and they always get a great crowd, and this is certainly evidence of why. Look at all these lead changes. Here goes Szegedy. He'll move to the front, and he takes over the lead.
So far. Now, he didn't actually lead till he gets back to the start-finish line, so we'll have to see if he can hold it till then.
Good point. He may not be the leader. TC with the chrome horn on the back of the 50, but it looks like Szegedy can hold on to position here. We've got a bunch of these guys running up front, and let's get a little more information on the front runners from Bob Dillner.
Your leader, Szegedy, is running very well in that number 50 car right now. He just radioed into his crew and said the car is very good. We don't want to do a thing to that race car. John Blewett Jr., on the other hand, he has had a great weekend here. He said to me before the race that that car is on rails, and he just radioed into his crew and said, I am just riding right now. But big questions for Teddy Christopher in that number 13 car. Of course, we mentioned at the top of the show, he is using a Ford power plant. A Ford power plant uses a lot more fuel than does a Chevy. So 100 laps the distance, most guys can make it, but Barry Cannell, his crew chief, told me they don't know if they can go the entire distance. In fact, he told me he's hoping for at least 10 caution laps in this race.
So we got a couple of Fords up front there with Szegedy and Ted Christopher. More lap traffic as they come down the front straightaway. Driver waving them by, so it'll be no problem as they get by the number 22 of Jim Long.
If Teddy Christopher, if he's really worried about fuel, then he needs to do a lot of drafting. We've seen him doing a lot of passing for the lead. He needs to kind of tuck in behind those guys, try to save a little fuel. But most of the guys in the garage here said they thought they needed 10 to 15 laps of caution to try to make sure they ensure they have enough fuel to get to the finish.
Now, Phil, when we look at this year so far, Teddy Christopher won at Stafford and also at Nazareth. Nazareth, another of the super speedways they race here, but a very different racetrack than this one in New Hampshire.
Very much so. Nazareth is really pretty much like a road course. It has 3 or 5 distinct different corners. So this is a whole lot more traditional oval.
We'll be back with more racing from the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Series after this. Racing continues here in the New England 100, and we've got bump drafting all over the racetrack. Todd Szegedy currently running in second, right behind Ted Christopher, and these guys have an excellent battle going on. Right behind them is the number 77, our point leader coming into the race today, John Blewett the third. And here goes Szegedy. He's going to try for the lead once again, Phil. I can't hardly keep track of who's led how many times or how many laps because they changed once or twice a lap.
I don't think they have run one lap without somebody pulling out side by side for the lead with these guys.
Absolutely love it. Now, when you saw this racetrack, we came here this weekend, you saw the changes they made. What was your impression of the changes here?
They look really great, but until you get cars on the racetrack and know what kind of grip you have, you really didn't know. But everyone I talked to said the grip was terrific. It was very smooth. A terrific job by the Bears again.
More bump drafting down the front straightaway, but that time it appeared to me like Blewett gave Christopher enough of a run into the corner. He actually started to get away from him. Can you push him too hard?
Well, you don't want to push somebody right into the corner because that may get them into the corner harder than they want to go. Because that's the most vulnerable part of the racetrack is getting in the corner. That's where you have the least amount of control. So you don't want to push them too far into the corner.
Does the restrictor plate have anything to do with how hard they can push these guys? Or
well, no, I think the restrictor plate more is why they stay so close together and why the draft is so critical. I think it's a result of the restrictor plate.
Well, let's mark down another change for the lead. Here goes Blewett. He went by Teddy Christopher as they go down the back straightaway, around a little bit of lap traffic, but strike that. We'll give TC the lead back. This is unbelievable.
How about Mike Stefanik, the fourth car in line there, the 21 of Mike Stefanik, multi-6-time series champion. Started way back in 15th, Ray, and he's already up in the 4th position. And
I noticed that Hirschman has started to fall back a little bit there. He was in 4th before we went to the break last time, and now he's lost a few spots as Nevin George has moved up there into 5th. And here comes Stefanik, and I figured it'd take him a lot longer than this to get his way up to the front.
These guys have been setting an incredible pace right now, and he was able to drive up to this lead group.
There's Stefanik in the number 21. Let's find out a little bit more about his race car. Let's go back down trackside. Once again, here's Bob.
Guys, the guy everybody is worried about is that 21 Silver Bullet car of Mike Stefanik. He is a 6-time modified champion, and he knows how to win here at the Magic Mile. And right now, Mike is on a mission. He has moved up to 4th from the 15th starting spot. He is on the move. And right now, his crew chief Ken Barry told me he is not saying a thing. Guys, you know what? That could be scary for the rest of the competition.
And Phil, not only is Stefanik a 6-time winner here, but he's also got 3 victories at Nazareth. So when it comes to the really fast tracks, this is a guy you got to worry about every time we go racing.
Well, that's right, but you have to worry about this guy anytime. He's got 64 series wins, a 6-time champion. He's a 2-time defending champion, now concentrating primarily on the Busch North Series, so he's not running all these races, but when he runs, you know he's going to be competitive.
You know what I found out that was very interesting when I looked through the statistics preparing for this race? Stefanik's won 6 titles, and each time it was a different driver in second place that he had to beat.
Yeah, he's pretty much beaten all comers.
Yeah, that's for sure. Stefanik now moving up there, but the outside line looks like they're going to try to take a move on Blewett, but it didn't work that time. Blewett kind of went up the racetrack to give him a little bit of a block.
That little move he does down the front straightaway where he moves to the inside to try to block those guys seems to be working for him pretty well.
John Blewett III is our leader after 35 laps at New Hampshire. Welcome back to New Hampshire. Ray Dunlap, Phil Parsons, and Bob Dylan are bringing you the New England 100 as we get a little bit closer to halfway. Unbelievable battles up front on this racetrack today. Phil, it's almost impossible to keep track of who's the leader, but I guess it's Blewett this time.
That's right, and that silver car we saw was 4th when we went away to commercial is now up to 2nd, right on Blewett's bumper.
So Stefanik moves up a couple of positions, and Szegedy and the 13 of TC, Teddy Christopher, continuing to have a good battle. But boy, I don't think it's going to be long before Stefanik makes his move on Blewett.
No, absolutely. A lot of lap traffic right now, heavy lap traffic for these guys, so we'll see how they were able to negotiate them.
Seems like every time they get into lap traffic, these guys go to the high side. Is there any advantage to that, or can you try the low side on this racetrack?
Well, traditionally, the officials will tell the lap cars to stay to the bottom. Stay to the bottom and let the guys go around the outside of you. So most of these guys are doing a pretty good job of doing that right now.
Lots of traffic here, and Blewett will have to size that up. Stefanik looks right at him, but it's too wide in front of him. Now what do you do?
That 94 car just slipped out. Jimmy Broderick slipped out a little bit wide there, caused a little bit of an anxious moment for Johnny Blewett, but he's able to get by. There's Tom Baldwin Sr., the 7 on the outside. They're getting by. They're actually passing him on the inside. He got caught to the outside, so the leaders went by on the inside.
So I guess you really got to be heads up to decide which way you're going through this lap traffic, and Blewett did a nice job of it that time as they head back to turn number 3 and come off of 4. Lots of traffic ahead of them. Now, Tony Hirschman is one of the guys that started up front today, but he has dropped back. He finished 2nd at Beach Ridge, but having trouble today. So let's find out more on Hirschman's car. We'll go down to Bob in the pits.
Tony Hirschman was your pole sitter for this race, but that number 48 modified has been falling back. Tony says the car is pushing here in the corners at New Hampshire. But an interesting note on that team, his son Matt is his crew chief, and Matt is also a racer. In fact, he won a big Race of Champions modified race just a couple short weeks ago. So Matt calling the shots for his father, who is a former Featherlite modified tour champion.
See Jeff Foltz there coming up to do a little bit of racing with Hirschman, but you know, I know Hirschman got his wrist hurt earlier in the year here. I wonder if that's affecting him because this track is so big. Does it make it harder to drive?
I don't know. You know, he finished 2nd last time out, as you mentioned, at Beach Ridge. So I would think the smaller the track, the more of an effect it would have. So I doubt very seriously that it's really bothering him.
Okay, here goes Stefanik now. He's going to use that lap traffic to his advantage. He's going to go to the inside of Blewett, but is that the right line to take? Doesn't look like it.
It depends on where the lap traffic is, and right now they stayed on the bottom, so Blewett is able to use that lap car for a pick and remain in the lead.
I would think experience would play a little of a factor there, and maybe Stefanik would have the advantage. But I guess with that many cars in the way, it's kind of luck of the draw.
Well, that's right. But, you know, whoa, a little contact right there. Teddy Christopher and Stefanik made a little contact coming off, too.
Now, you have to worry about bending in the toe on the right front of the car like for a TC.
Absolutely, because these guys, these wheels obviously don't have any fenders on the outside of them to kind of absorb the energy. So if you have wheel-to-wheel contact, it's very, very likely that it may affect the toe end of these cars.
Lots of traffic here in New Hampshire as we are coming up to the halfway point of this race, and that lap traffic could play a big part of what happens here. Blewett continues to hold the lead. Stefanik in second, and boy, it's hard to keep track of what cars where here. They go to the outside there of the number 54 of David Etheridge. Etheridge will hold his line down to the bottom, but Stefanik looked like he about made contact.
Yeah, he didn't quite clear him like Blewett did, so that cost him 3 or 4 car lengths right there. This is the biggest lead we've seen the entire race. It's about 3 or 4 car lengths.
Absolutely. Stefanik now stuck to the high side, and Blewett will have the preferred line down the front way. Now there is a battle for fourth going on back here. I see Ted Christopher, and that is Jerry Marquis. Boy, he's moved his way up, Phil.
Oh, he sure has. Started way back in 19th, and boy, it's great to see that blue number 3. Now, we've seen that car for years and years and years. The Bowler family still maintains that car and operates it. Great to see them running well as they are.
20-some track championships for Jerry Marquis. He has raced just about everything that has wheels, and he can be a contender, no doubt about it. The 2000 champion here in the Featherlite division. There goes Marquis to the inside of the 54, so he'll try to move his way more towards the front. He's done a nice job so far here today.
Sure has. You see Nevin George looking on Teddy Christopher right now. You know, that contact we saw with him and Stefanik may have had it, but you speculated, Ray, that maybe the toe-in was knocked out. That very well is possible, because we've seen him the entire race running right up at the very front, and now he's backtracking a little bit. And now another side-by-side battle for the lead with Stefanik on the inside in the 21.
Down to turn 3. Here goes Stefanik. Tries to take the line. Blewett just holds it up a little bit, and he's not able to take the position. But now that they've gotten away from that lap traffic, I got to believe this race may come to the hands of Mike Stefanik and his experience, because he's run so many races on this track.
You see Blewett doing that little snake deal down the straightaway to try to keep Stefanik from getting that good effective grab. But as well as Stefanik's running, he's got another look to the inside here. He's got up beside him and just drives down in turn number 3.
Boy, he did it that time, didn't he? Stefanik with the power move off of turn 3, and he will come around to lead his first lap today here at New Hampshire. And the fans are on their feet. They love this guy up here in the Northeast.
Yeah, great job on that Ardenberry car there. Good, he doesn't run full time anymore, but when he runs, you better watch out for him.
So Mike Stefanik will take over the lead here from John Blewett III. He is our 4th different leader at New Hampshire at lap 15 for the NASCAR Featherlite Modified Series. Is the New England 100, and Mike Stefanik has taken the lead over John Blewett. And Plainville, Connecticut's Ted Christopher has been up front throughout much of the race today, but lately he's been falling backwards. Let's find out more about the number 13 car.
A possible problem for Teddy Christopher in that number 13 car. He is starting to fall back. In fact, he's back to the 6th spot after leading early in this race. And I spoke to Mr. Barry Cannell, and he told me they have a fuel pickup problem on that car right now. The motor is laying down, and that's not good here on this big 1-mile track. So that is certainly something we're going to have to keep an eye on as this race progresses.
Phil, what do you think they mean by that? It could be a number of different issues.
Well, I think it's probably more of a carburetor problem, a fuel pickup problem, which when you're running out of fuel, and we're barely halfway here, so I don't think it's probably a fuel pickup problem, more of a carburetor issue. The thing may be loading up a little bit off the corner, not running clear, and not clearing out till he gets halfway down the straightaway. I think it's probably what's happening.
Here's Rick Fuller. Started in 10th today, really hasn't moved forward very much, Phil. I'm a little bit surprised on that. Fuller's been pretty good on this racetrack.
He sure has. He finished second here 4 times. He's never quite got that win, but been second 4 times, but very, very good.
I talked to Rick Fuller about one of his second place finishes here, and guess who it was to? His brother Jeff, and he didn't like that at all. He said it hurts when you lose, when you finish second anytime, but when you finish second to your brother, you really hate it. Back up front here is Stefanik, and he has opened up about a 3-car length lead on the number 77. Now, problems for Jamie Tomeno. He heads to pit road.
Definitely an unscheduled pit stop here. These guys would definitely not pit under green unless they get really, really low on fuel very late in the race. So something seriously wrong with Jamie Tomeno here.
And Tomeno's 8th in points, very close to Hirschman there, so this could be a big blow for him if they have engine problems with that car. He's gone pretty slow into the pits.
Well, that's a long way down. It almost looks like this car's not even running, but this is an extremely long pit road here. You have 43 pit stalls, and they're fairly large pit stalls, but You can see the guys aren't in a big hurry, so I think the thing is not under power.
Doesn't sound good for Jamie the Jet, who's posted 3 top 10s in the last 4 races. Now we go back to racing action, and Stefanik has held that lead at about 4 car lengths right now over Blewett. It appears like he is really hooked up there, Phil. Look how nicely that car slides off of turn number 2.
Yeah, sure does. You got to use the whole racetrack. When we saw him racing side by side, they didn't, you know, he wasn't able to use the whole racetrack. So there's another problem. There's Donnie Leah with a problem.
And he continues to lead the New England 100 from the New Hampshire International Speedway. Today is the 37th time that this division has raced here at this track, and we've got a great battle going for third, Phil.
Yeah, there's Todd Zegedy there, the 50 car. 3-car Jerry Marquis. Jerry started way back in 19, so he's made a great move towards the front. We've seen Todd Zegedy been battling for the lead throughout much of the first half of the race anyway.
Jerry Marquis with 1 victory so far this year at Stafford, but that's kind of uncharacteristic for this driver. In 2000, he won 5 races. In 2001, he won 3, but last year held to just 1 victory. So Marquis wanting to get back up there and show his stuff. As he tries to put the pressure on Zegedy, they go around to the inside of a lap car and not really able to take a position there, but Marquis running very well here as we head to 3/4 point of this race.
You know, a lot of these guys we talked about earlier were depending on some caution laps to ensure themselves of making enough fuel. And this thing has gone caution-free thus far. So this is an incredible pace, almost 80 laps caution-free with these modifieds here at Lowry.
So if we go the distance under green flag, is it possible some of them will run out?
I think we'll definitely see some guys run out if we go the distance.
Unbelievable. So fuel strategy could be a play in the factor here today as the number 21 has stretched out a lead. That is Zegedy, Jerry Marquis, and they go around the number 72 again of Jim Kuhn. Now they have lost about, I'd say little over 2 seconds now to the front pack.
Here's
we
the
move
leaders
back
right
up.
here. They're going into turn number 3 right now. We was about 4 or 5 car lengths before, so Blewett's closing it up a little bit.
John Blewett III in the number 77 with 6 wins for the Mastro Battisto Contractors team. Top 10 finish in all 8 races this year. That is incredible statistics, and of course that's why he's the point leader.
That's exactly right. But he runs up front too. He doesn't just finish around 8th or 10th. He runs up front and runs for the win.
He's led 4 races coming into today, and of course he has led today, so that'll put him as the leader of 5 of 9 races. And when you lead, you can be a contender for the win. What's he got to do now to try to be able to beat the 21 car?
Oh, we got trouble.
That is the 48 of Hirschman. Hirschman, who started on the pole today. I'm not going to sing, I promise you, but that tire and wheel assembly has come off the number 48, so Hirschman has definitely made some contact with the wall.
Yeah, sure has. That looks like the left rear off of Tony's car there. Not sure exactly what happened. Why that wheel would come off unless the wheel broke or something like that.
Hirschman in his 2nd year with Bob Keeley in that team, so these guys trying to put it together to have a shot at a victory this year.
Yeah, he's got it refired, but can't quite get traction there. Obviously, you see the left rear brake assembly spinning and spinning the right rear tire. So
I think he's going to need a hook for that one.
Yeah,
Bill.
sure looks like it.
I don't think he's going to be able to get it back to the pits. Now, you understand the urgency as the driver. He may not even be aware that wheel's off there, is he?
He may not very well not be, but it's probably a spotter up on the spotter stand say, hey, you guys, we've lost the left rear wheel or whatever. So he knows something's wrong right now. He's trying to get the thing going, but it just keeps spinning the wheels.
But this late in the race, by the time they get him to the pits, there's not going to be time to repair that to get him back
No,
anyways.
he's definitely out of contention here.
So Tony Hirschman brings out caution number 1 at New Hampshire. We'll set the field when we come back. After first caution of the day came because of this action, and we see the number 48 of Tony Hirschman go to the wall, and Phil, it is evident that tire was off the car, not because of damage of hitting the wall.
That's right. That's what caused him to spin. So we're not as sure exactly whether he had contact maybe with another car to cause that or a wheel broke or whatever, but whatever the case may be, it's going to put him out of contention. Hey, there's Teddy Christopher coming down pit road. You know, Teddy ran right up front very early on. We saw him fade a little bit. He's currently running 8th right now, right?
Was crew chief Barry Cannell is a 3-time championship crew chief, so I'm sure he's going to make a good call here. Let's find out exactly why they decided to come down pit road with the number 13 car. Here's Bob Dillner.
Teddy Christopher brings his number 13 brand new modified onto pit road. It will be a 3-tire stop for Teddy Christopher and this Mystique crew. They figured, why not bring Teddy down onto pit road right now? He was running 8th, and there are only 10 cars on the lead lap, so they don't have much to lose. Christopher thinks maybe with new tires, he will be able to get back to the front, maybe even into the top 5. The crew finishing up a little trouble on the right rear, but he is now down and away, Teddy Christopher.
And Phil, we saw on that pit stop, they changed rear tires and they changed the right front, but left the left front on. Why?
These modifieds really don't use the left front as much as the stock cars do. There's Rick Fuller also on pit road there, but they usually have what they call a spool in the rear, and it means the rear end's locked up. Stock car, Bush car, Winston Cup car truck with what we call a ratchet, which means one wheel turns more than the other. These modified cars have a spool, so they rely on stagger to turn these things. So a lot of these guys will not change the left front tire. They just feel like they don't use it as much as they do the other 3 corners of the car.
Well, I guess that saves you money in the long run, too.
Absolutely.
We're just a couple laps away from going back green. Just one caution so far today here on the Magic Mile. And as we get late in the race here, I have to wonder, what has Blewett got to do to make a charge on our leader, Stefanik?
Well, hopefully he's going to let his tires cool a little bit. He's going to have his best shot, I think, right after this restart when his tires are cool, because he was so good early on. So there's Teddy Christopher back in. Look at him. You see the tape measure right there? Looks like he's going to look at the toe end.
Now let's go back down to Bob and find out.
Christopher has brought his Mystique number 13 back onto pit road. The crew is actually working on the front end and making a couple of adjustments there, and actually just checking to see if that front end is all straight on that race car. Teddy's been bumping around a little bit, so they want to make sure that car is ready to go the rest of the way here in New Hampshire.
Phil, how long does it take to make an adjustment like this on a car?
Really, Ray, just a few minutes, and the advantage you have is you don't have body work to work around. You can go right up to the tie rods and adjust them.
Let's find out more about the guy who's up front, Mike Stefanik. Bob is with his crew chief, Ken Berry.
Things look great for Mike Stefanik, and now you have a yellow and a restart to deal with. Ken Berry, you're the crew chief for Mike Stefanik. Are you guys worried at all?
Oh, we got a pretty good car. We really didn't want to see this yellow come out with the lead we had, but says it's a little on the tight side, but he hopes he can hold them off.
And guys, how about this? Ken was in the car last week at Beach Ridge Speedway in this same number 21, and he finished in the top 10.
That's got to be tough to be watching the guy out there leading after you just drove the thing. Ready to go back to green here as we have just 6 laps to go. Mike Stefanik is the leader. Green flag comes out, and down the front straightaway, Blewett tries to give him a little bit of a wiggle, but Stefanik holds him off.
He's going to be the most vulnerable right here. Now we'll see what John Blewett did. All cooled their tires for a number of laps. Fuel shouldn't be an issue. They've had the caution flag to run slow and get some better fuel mileage. So we'll see what John Blewett can do with Mike Stefanik.
Now is Szegedy in a good position here with those guys maybe fighting it out? You know, I'm thinking if they go sliding and fighting each other, Szegedy could slide right in.
Well, without a doubt, all these guys up here in this lead pack here have a good shot at it. If 2 guys up front make contact, you never know what might happen.
8 or 9 drivers with a shot at the win here, no doubt about it. Now there goes Stefanik trying to fight him off. He does a little bit of a drafting move. Szegedy to the outside, and here comes Marquis to the inside.
Jerry Marquis, great move. He's by Szegedy. Pull up on the inside. Blewett not quite able to make that move, but he did take 3rd position.
Marquis started 19th today, and he is in the fight for the win. Now here goes John Blewett. Blewett will go to the inside, and they make contact. The number 77 slides into the 21. They go high. Here comes Blewett. Will Marquis be the beneficiary of this one?
He's got had pretty good. Oh, little blockage there going on.
Boy, that could have been ugly right in front of the field here.
Whoa.
Oh, and Rick Fuller in the number 1 makes a hard contact to the turn number 1 wall in his Fuller Beverages. Man, he hit a ton, Phil.
He sure did. He was right in that battle for the lead there. One of the top 6 or 8 cars, and they made contact at the worst possible place getting in the corner.
Man, I thought there was going to be a huge crash coming down the front straightaway when Blewett made contact there, but boy, take a look at this replay. Now here it is. They slide to the inside. Now the 1 tries to go a little bit high there, and he's going to make contact with Marquis.
Yeah, it was Jerry Marquis, the 3 car, and the 1 of Rick Fuller that made the contact. Yeah.
Holy moly, that's a hard hit. Now watch this one. Here is some action from the front stretch, and man, that looks just like Jerry Nadeau's hit at Richmond earlier this year.
Very, very square on the driver's side.
Well, we will have a red flag here, and we will give you an update on Rick Fuller when we come back. 3 laps to go at New Hampshire.
Awake and alert, and they're going to transport him by ground to Concord Hospital.
That is unbelievable when you see the kind of contact he hit. When you look at that full speed, it's just almost amazing. And it didn't take much of a bump to get him out of shape. He had the brakes locked up full, but man, what a big bunch of contact.
Yeah, well, these guys also wear the head and neck restraint systems that are mandated by NASCAR. So that's a great move by NASCAR.
He's been in the top 10 all day. That is the 0 car we're talking about, Nevin George, but he decides to come in for a right rear. Maybe part of that contact down there. These guys were really jockeying for position.
Well, they sure were. We just got a couple laps to go here.
We will have a green-white checkered finish to this race here, which the fans will love, and we will pass along the news that Rick Fuller is doing well to the fans in the stands and the fans at home. So that is great news after a hard crash like that. Rick Fuller will be transported, but awake and alert. That's amazing. All right, who has the advantage here, Phil? Is this Stefanik's race to win after all that craziness on the front stretch?
Well, John Blewett told me before the race, he said, I'll tell you, the worst place it could possibly be on the last lap at Loudon is in the lead. So we'll see what happens.
That's probably right. Now let's take a look at the top 5 right here. We've got John Blewett in the number 77 is the leader. Then we have Zegedy, the number 4 of Chuck Hosfeld, we haven't said much about today. Jerry Marquis, L.W. Miller in the 73, and Stefanik, who is back in 6th place. So Stefanik's got a lot of work here to do if he's going to go back up there and win, even though he has led 43 laps on the Magic Mile today.
We'll see what John Blewett can do on this restart. You know, he's done that little snake move down the straightaways to try to keep these guys from getting such a good draft behind him, but he's got Todd Zegedy right on his bumper. And Chuck Hosfeld, we haven't seen a whole lot of him today, but he's in a great position right now in 3rd.
And Hosfeld was the winner of this race just a year ago at this racetrack, and L.W. Miller, a former winner at Martinsville, so he knows how to get down a long straightaway. Back to green flag action, green-white checkered coming up. John Blewett, the 3rd, is the leader, and we go to turn 1. Looks like he's got the advantage over Zegedy.
Well, he got a real breakthrough because he jumped on the button. It looked like he spun the wheels, and I thought he was not going to even keep the lead by the time he got to turn 1.
Just 2 laps to go, and he goes way down to the inside. Blewett, the number 77.
Here comes Zegedy on the inside.
Oh, boy, Zegedy wants that win bad. Blewett with 6 wins to his career. Zegedy with 3 career victories. White flag is out. Who's going to win this race, Phil?
Well, John Blewett looks pretty good. Oh, here goes Zegedy again on the inside. He's pulled up alongside. Contact!
And they make contact down in turn number 1. Zegedy will slide high. Blewett will lose 2 positions there, and who takes the lead? It's Hosfeld.
How about that on the inside? What an alert move right there.
You only need to win by leading 1 lap, and that could be what happens to Hosfeld. Now, Zegedy, can he beat him here?
I don't know. He's only got about a 1/3 of a mile to go here.
Chuck Hosfeld won at this racetrack last fall. He comes down the front straightaway in the number 4 car, and he is going to pick up a victory once again. He won at New Hampshire and Thompson, and now he's a 2-time winner here at New Hampshire. And how about that? Leads only 1 lap and gets the victory.
But it is the most important lap. Oh, a little contact right there.
Whoa, and Stefanik goes spinning out. Oh, he doesn't make any contact with anybody else, but John Blewett wasn't very happy with Mike Stefanik for some reason.
He wasn't, but John Blewett was in a lead on the last restart. So.
I don't know what. Stefanik had nothing to do with Blewett losing
Let's take a look
the lead.
at the fast for the lead here. There was a contact right there between Zegedy and Blewett. See Chuck Hosfeld, the yellow car on the inside, just drive up beside him.
What I was impressed with was the great car control by both of those guys up front. Any one of those guys could have crashed there, but they didn't, and that's pretty impressive. Here comes the checker for Hosfeld. Boy, what a close finish. I have no idea who was 4th or 5th. And there's
the
Blewett.
contact right there with Blewett, the 77 car.
I'm not sure what he was mad about.
I'm not sure why he was mad at Stefanik.
I don't know. Chuck Hosfeld is down in victory lane, and I'll tell you, Phil, when I look across this season, what a great way to get going. You win the opener at Thompson, that is Hosfeld. He's been posting top 10s almost all along the way. He had a 3rd at Beach Ridge, but today he comes out and he wins a race by leading only 1 lap. It doesn't get much better than that.
It sure does. And this is their biggest race of the year. The races at Loudon, they have 2 a year. These are their biggest races. A brand new car and engine for this race for Chuck Hosfeld.
Hosfeld was 4th in the points coming in, and once again, he's in victory lane.
Chuck Hosfeld makes it 2 in a row here at the Magic Mile. What an unbelievable finish as he gets the Powerade drowning here in victory lane. Chuck, some hugs and kisses from all around, but how exciting was that there at the end?
I'll tell you, I don't care if we win by a straightaway or if we win on the last lap like that. This is a brand new car, and Ron Hutter did the motor in this. It's also a fresh motor. I'll tell you, that says a lot for my crew to bring a brand new car here, and Greg Schroeder and all these guys that work on the car work their tails off on it, you know. I guess I should put my hat on.
Car was awesome, but you were awesome on that last lap. The last couple of laps, did you ever think you were going to be able to hop on the outside, hop on the inside, and actually get it done?
Well, I'll tell you, our brake adjuster, like I said, it's a new car, and we're working some of the bugs out, and our brake adjuster wouldn't let me put any more front brake, and that's what we needed. But I'll tell you, we were dealing with a loose car, and we just made the best out of it. It feels great to win. It really does.
You got a big smile on your face, but you look a little bit calm for winning the type of race you just ran.
Believe me, it'll set in. Tonight we'll party, and we'll have a good time, and it's great to do it in front of all these fans. I mean, this is a great racetrack. We have a great time here. My parents are here. I want to say hi to my brother who just became a cop in Buffalo, and you know, we were proud of him. So to cap this weekend off with a win feels great.
Go celebrate with the boys. How about that? Chuck Hosfeld with his second win in a row here in New Hampshire.
Well, Bob, that's certainly pretty cool, and Garbarino's Mystic Missile will make a little improvement today as Chuck Hosfeld will gain 19 points on our point leader, John Blewett, as we look through the field, Phil.
Yeah, there's Tommy Close. Good run in 11th, 1 lap down. Jeff Foltz, first ever start in a modified, finishes 20th.
He came from the back.
That's right, from 41st position.
That was impressive, but a couple of guys falling out early in this race will change our points around as we go down through the rest of the field. There you see Jamie Tomeno falls out early and finishes 37th, and Hirschman, with his wheel coming off, will finish 36th. That's a tough break.
Joey McCarthy right there, 41st, first car out.
Tight points race here as Zegedy closes within 5 on John Blewett. So a very exciting race today, and now the very best news is that Rick Fuller is alert and awake in the care center after a very, very violent crash here at the Magic Mile. Well, we had the biggest purse ever for the Modifieds and their 50th Super Speedway race, and it was a dandy as it came down to the green-white checkers and a winner who only led 1 lap. For Phil Parsons and Bob Dillner, I'm Ray Dunlap saying join us once again on Fox Sports Net.